All right, that is good. It's not perfect, but we're not looking for it to be perfect, so we will take it. How's that? How's that? It's okay to be excited. It's wonderful to be excited. Hi, I'm Kevin Hill, and today we're going to do a fun acrylic painting, maybe one with a kind of a deep forest and a waterfall and a lot of beautiful colors. Should be fun. If you're looking forward to seeing this and you'd like to see more, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more painting videos. All right, let's get started. I'm going to start today with my flat blender, some white, black, red, I don't know, just grab whatever. Grab whatever you want. I'm just going to tint the canvas just so that it's a color. And to tell you the truth, we can tint it with several colors. It doesn't really matter. Green is fine, blue is fine, anything is fine. Just get that canvas covered. What this does is it allows us to not have to fill the canvas holes in perfectly. We can just rely on, this undercoat. It just makes painting a tiny bit easier, completely optional. Let this coat dry before you continue. So I'm just going to block in some dark color. You can see I spent just a moment sketching, which is good. I just mist my canvas, This is not dry enough to mist, but it's just my background. Everything's going to be covered, so I don't care if it beads up. By the way, that is what happens. It's going to bead up if you put this on where it's if you squirt it while it's too, can't even think. Come on now. If you squirt it while it's too wet, and this is, it's barely dry, then it will bead up a little bit. So just be aware of that. Hey, that's just a sketch. Go right over it. What am I thinking? Just a sketch. I just located where I wanted it, and now you cover it up. Cover it up. There we go. Soft edges. Actually, well, maybe misting the canvas will give us a softer effect. I'm out of water. I'm going to go downstairs and get some of that. There we go. This is almost a little fantasy, but not in a way that's like unbelievable. It could, it could be a fantasy kind of feeling, or it could be kind of just a special place that's interesting in the forest somewhere. Because let's face it, if you look hard enough, you'll find a subject anywhere that looks like what you're painting. So I couldn't tell you where it is, but I bet you it looks like somewhere. Leave me a comment. Does this remind you of somewhere that you've seen in real life? I'm curious. Hey, while I'm thinking about it, let's look at the paintings that we did last week. You guys did a really good job. It was fun to see them. Remember to use the hashtag on the screen so that you can have a chance to get featured in the next video. Just do your version of what I'm painting right here today. Now I'm going to drop in a little green here. Now I know what you're thinking. This is terrible. This is a mess and you're about ready to click on. Don't click on yet. We're not finished. Oh, we're going to try to save it. That's right. So here's what I'm thinking. As far as just my thought process in this painting, I'm going to start loose, as you can tell. And I'm going to try to build out the detail over top of the loose areas. And I think what's going to end up happening is it's going to look very interesting. It's going to be kind of, I don't know, it'll be like contrast but between sloppy and detailed areas, if that makes sense. Kind of a sloppy underpainting with these bold strokes. See how I kind of did that behind the waterfall? Kind of can't speak. Kind of bold strokes. And now I'm kind of painting this area in with the same bold strokes. This is my number 6 flat brush. And I like the effect. I think it works. What I'm trying to do is create the atmosphere, the feeling of kind of there's so much foliage that we need to represent. You can't paint each and every bit of foliage. What you should do instead is kind of try to make the overall feeling of that foliage. And that's what this is. That's what all this is going to be. Rocks, foliage, who knows what. And see, that underpainting is coming in really handy because as I kick my easel, I don't know why I was like standing with my legs crossed or something. Funny. I'm going to fall down doing that. This way. Yeah. This way we kind of just gonna allow some of that to show. It's pretty. Already starting to look like something very abstract, but starting to look like something. And I'm excited by that. I think we're gonna try to make the light just burn through here. Tons and tons of light. It's gonna be many multiple layers of different bright highlights and whatnot happening. But you have to start somewhere. And for me, this somewhere is kind of in this range. Just putting it on sloppy for now. knowing that we're going to refine it. This is one of those where you have to be confident enough to put it on messy and understand that it is not going to look good right off the bat, and that's okay. It's easier said than done, though, isn't it? To just leave your painting messy. I know it is. But sometimes you get a really interesting result that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten. Cool. If you do everything the same way, it's not as much fun. It's more fun if you can change it up a bit from time to time. There. It's pretty. Maybe some blue hits right back up in here. Good. All of this is just going to be kind of abstract color underneath what's going to actually be leaves, right where my hand is. Big, dark leaves that's going to kind of hide most of this. But, you know, a little is nice, isn't it? Whatever shows through will be perfectly welcome. Oh, that's pretty. All right. Just spend a few more minutes on this. Like I said, this isn't really going to be the final bit or anything. We're going to come back in detail over top of this, but just some good background, mushy colors, kind of like if you were going to do like a floral painting. You would prime your canvas with a bunch of sloppy brush strokes like this so that your subject stands out. That's the same idea. Kind of pretty. I actually think it's working, you know? I'm working ahead here with the same exact idea. I'm gonna probably carry this theme through a lot of the underpainting, which is, and a lot of that has to do with, you know, we're even able to do this because of that blue underneath. You know, we can allow that to shine through, and that's another color. Very pretty. I like this though. Remember, this is just the underpainting. A lot is going to change, but I'm already kind of enjoying the feeling. See that? Looks like big blocks of grass and interesting foliage. We can bring the details out of this. So I'm kind of doing the mid-tones and the shadows. We'll come back with the highlights and then the accent highlights later. And it should really tie it together. I think this painting is going to come out well. I hope. Oh, this is not a good sign if you are overconfident in the beginning. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Really, you should be overconfident in the beginning. You should expect it to come out good. There we go. I like that. And another thing which will help with confidence is make sure that you've got an idea of where you're going before you start. There's nothing more frustrating or more difficult than trying to figure out where you're going while you're painting. Look, I already know where my subject is, you know, before even starting. So important. Makes all the difference. That is probably one of my #1 tips for you is know where you're going before you start. That just makes a huge difference. It really does. And it's not hard to figure out where you're going. You know, take a photo of something that you like or draw it down on paper first, but just know where you're going to go. There. Just mushy, very muddled, and I think that works. Almost impressionistic to begin with, and we'll pull our details out of this. It'll look good. It'll look normal toward the end. So now I'm going to pull downward, straight. Hold on, let me get straight on. That helps some. I'm going to pull down to create our little waterfall. This is done using the #6 flat brush. There, as you can see, I took a quick break. My palette dried and had to squirt out more paint. So just be aware of that. You're acrylic painting. And when you take a break, you'll probably have to, unless it's a very quick break, you're going to have to probably be squirting your paint out again, which is not a bad thing. Helps you to kind of reset the palette. Not always a bad thing, but it does waste paint. So, you know, you don't want to waste too much. It can add up quickly, can't it? There, we know. Of course, you know, having said that, I always say the most valuable thing you ever put into your paintings is going to be your time. And so you do want to be, you know, maximizing your time more than the materials. The materials, you know, but your time, that's valuable. Oh, there you go. That's my thought, at least. Right, that is good. It's not perfect, but we're not looking for it to be perfect, so we will take it. How's that? How's that? It's okay to be excited. It's wonderful to be excited. Nice, look at that little highlight going in. That makes a big difference. I like that a little action in the light area here in the water. So now I'm going to try to take some of these, you know, big shapes and turn them into something more interesting, something that kind of looks like plants in the background, or just anything that's not a blob. Because after all, right now we have blobs. There, I'm going to be changing my colors frequently. This is acrylics, and the background is, of course, dry. And that means that there will be no mixing happening, so you have to do all the color variations right here in the brush on the palette, because it's not going to happen on the canvas. Alright, I think we can kind of work with that. Yeah, maybe some kind of action. See, a lot of this is going to be covered, but see how it helps to make it look more detailed? See that? Now, back up in here, I don't know, I want that to kind of, it's almost looking good. I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't really have a great idea of how many leaves I want back here to cover this, you know? I want this to be really an interesting area with a lot of contrast, so I guess it's better to overpaint it and then cover some of it up. Of course, you know, this is acrylics. I could always sneak the background back in. That doesn't have to be done in a normal order because I don't have to worry about mixing mud, you know? Let me get a little more paint going here. Was that just kind of a muddy bluish color? A little red, kind of wants to be a purple, but it's really not because it's kind of muddy. I don't know. But that's the color we've got, almost a gray. I don't know. I don't even know if that's a good color, but it's going up here anyways. How's that? I think it'll be just fine. It helps to raise the values here in the background a bit, which is good because of what we've got going on top, which we will be doing sooner than later, I'm sure. Maybe a little of that gray in through here. A little gray never hurt. You know, you don't want it to be overly vibrant. It helps it to look a little softer, a little more natural maybe. Get some of that going. Good. A little touch of, oh, there's kind of a turquoise back here. Could be pretty. Yeah. Could be pretty. So anyway, you can tell what we're doing here. Pretty much just refining these edges and shapes, trying to make it exactly the way we want it. Getting some very good details. Getting some good action happening here. The light, I guess, is filtering through the painting like this, very bright in this area. So I'll actually tell you what's being really bright. Let's go ahead and start raising the value here as well to a brighter value. That will help. And we're going to have to most likely throw in some darks as well. Watch this. Darks as well. And blend them all together while they're wet. Just by fluffing it. You've seen how to do this before. This is a very common technique. It makes a nice effect with minimal effort. There. Be sure, the only trick about this, be sure you're fast. It doesn't pay to dawdle here because things will freeze up on the canvas and it doesn't look as good if you can't get these softer edges, you know? There. It's kind of pretty. Now, I'm always misting my paints, trying to keep them from drying out. That's a pretty good tip for you. The last thing you want is for your paints to be drying out on the palette. All right, now, let's go ahead and mist this entire... I'm going to... fresh paper towel while I'm thinking about it. Just because I don't want to accidentally go right, you know, to wipe off my brush and go right into some black or something. That would be bad. Okay, we're going to mist out this whole background area and make it a little softer. Now, everything should be dry. Should be. Not quite, but close. I'm not going to go over the wet areas, I hope. Because that would really mess them up. But anyway, I'm just going to try to create a little more atmosphere. Not too much. This is called dry brush blending. I'm using my round brush. This is very important. This brush is the best, in my opinion, for the best brush for this job. I would not grab any other brush for dry brush blending in acrylic. Actually, it's probably good for dry brush blending in oil, although I just don't do really dry brush blending in oil because we're always trying to get them done. We don't ever wait that couple weeks for them to dry, but that's okay. If you wanted to, give it a shot and let me know how it works. I'm very curious. I bet you it works, just because paint is paint, you know. The dry times, the consistency are a little different, but generally it's similar. Right down here, a little misty. You know what? Is that dry enough? I think it is. Let's just float a tiniest touch of mist over, even over this log here, especially down here toward the base. I think that will help incorporate it into the painting and make it just so beautiful. See that mist out that branch a little? Just a little mist over there, a little mist maybe even over this spot. Now, I'm doing this at this moment during the painting, and I didn't do this before because I think I got most of my details in the background areas, and now I want to kind of soften them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to place the really pretty dark silhouetted trees on top of this. So got to get this in pretty much right now. That's kind of why I'm doing it when I'm doing it, if that makes any sense. Cool. Now over here I want that to remain very shadowy, so let's not mess with that. Let's just leave that as it is. Roll just the tiniest maybe bit of mist right there. This is all stuff that can be, done subtle, and then you bring it up just ever so slightly, You don't have to jump into it all at once. You can bring it up layer by layer if that's the way you want to do it. Completely up to you. Just how much experience you have and how comfortable you are with this dry brush blending technique. Kind of will help you decide how much to do at once. Because let's face it, once you do too much or you leave some hard areas, kind of going back, you have to repaint that area. So I don't know. It's up to you. Have fun with it though. Worst case scenario, if you don't like a spot, put a tree over it. Mostly going to be covered by trees back here anyways. It's pretty. That's really starting to work. I think that's going to work. All right, let me see. A little soft yellow, just a hit of soft yellow back in here maybe. Just to make it feel like there's something going on that's kind of just in the distance, farther away. Light spilling through, who knows what. Back up in here. There. Pretty. The same up here, maybe just a touch of, this is a little tedious, a touch of yellow ochre. This is a little tedious doing these little light spots, but I think it's well worth it, There. That should be all we need. Before we go and do the big trees, let me just real quick, just tap in a little more highlight to this thing. Good. And then one more thing I want to do real quick is I need some more red. But I want to do some blue ones as well, but I need to get more red out later. But I just want to start painting in a couple of little details, just plants and stuff in the background here. Actually, I already have some right on this area. Just some blue flowers or just blue colored plants. Tropical, I don't know, who cares? Honestly, really, who cares? It's there for color, it's there for visual interest, and really not much else. There. And I'm not going to overdo them, but just enough to make it interesting. Yes, it is interesting, and yes, I am getting happy with it. And you guys should be happy with your paintings too, even if they're not perfect, because you spend so long on them. You put so much effort. You deserve to be happy, and I want you to be happy. They don't have to be perfect. Just enjoy it and say, I tried. Is it 100% the way that I wish it would be? Not usually. Not usually. Very rarely. Should I still be proud of it? Absolutely. There. I think that works. We're too hard on ourselves. Of course, you don't want to go. You go too far that direction, then you just end up with a mess. But there's a balance. So now I've got my flat blender, and somebody is yelling at the screen. What am I doing with a flat blender? Oh, I don't see any backgrounds to paint. Well, here's the thing. I could use the fan brush, but just look. Small, super big, but it has the same hair in it, actually. And the point of that is I'm doing a lot. That's the point of it. Same exact hair, same exact texture, but I'm covering a lot more ground. Ooh, that's nice. I actually think I need a little more water. That's what I've got going in here right now is the water. And what that does is it kind of clumps the brush up. If you see that, so it's clumped. Kind of hard to show you. There you go. Kind of clumped. That works. The idea is I want this to be crazy high contrast. Nice. A little more water. Honestly, I'm just gonna miss the whole palette. I put red out. Yes, now we got paint to work with. Hard to paint when you don't have paint. There, that's something right there. We can kind of work with that, and we need to. I say that too much, don't I? I need to. No, I don't. I don't say it enough. I need to just put it on a t-shirt. There you go. There we go. Look at that. That works. Try using a brush like this when you're talking about just big areas. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. This is not the way to do it every time. Just for this today, it works. You know what I mean? You kind of see. You kind of see why it works. It works because of the darkness of the painting, the softness of the background. It just kind of fits with this texture that I'm getting today. There. Cool. So anyway, well, there was a lot of explanation, and I really didn't say much, but I'm glad you're watching anyway. It makes me very happy. There. So now I'm painting in this large tree. This is one we've been planning from the beginning. There we go. Actually don't care for the way that just stops. I think I'd rather have it integrated in the landscape, so let's do that instead. Okay. Good. You got to do that sort of stuff while it's wet because it's easier that way, you know. But now let's get up in here and paint in these limbs. I've got the number 6 synthetic flat brush. I like this brush for doing this sort of thing. Comes to a pretty decent little chiseled edge. It's got enough bristles that hold the paint to, you know, get a little mileage out of it, if you know what I mean. You're not constantly having to grab more paint, as long as you make sure it's got enough either foundation, medium, or water. For this particular step, it's not super critical. Just grab what you have. There, that's great. Of course, if you need anything like foundation, medium, or paint, or anything else like that, check out our website. The link will be probably first in the description there, or just in the description somewhere. Go find it and stock up on paint if you need it. There. I like that. These acrylics are so much fun to work with. I'm an oil painter, but I do enjoy my acrylics. They're pretty fun. There. And you can just kind of have a little different experience. And let's face it, when you're painting, people need a different experience. They need a little variety. And it'll teach you different things. You'll have to use different techniques. You won't be able to rely on the same old techniques. They're similar, but they are slightly different. And that will help you to grow and get better. And it'll be a challenge, and all sorts of good things will come from it, you know? Even if you're not interested in taking up acrylics full-time or anything like that, just get a set and enjoy. There, that's fun. That is really fun. Look at that. I'm happy. I think maybe just we need another something like that should be behind it. I don't know. We just need there are a lot of trees in the forest. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There. I'm having fun. Can you tell I'm having fun? Let's go over here and get this one in. We need less on this one, just a few to indicate. You could do this with the liner brush if you're more comfortable. That's a very good, as I stumble all over the place, that's a very good option. All the way off. These are coming from probably the same land, and then that river hooks around. I don't know. Let your viewers figure it out. Now I can add on little pink flowers, just basically the same way as when you're just touching in. It's really not much to it. I gotta be careful when I do that, you know. For as much as I flail my hands around when I paint and talk, I don't have very many issues, you know. It's pretty rare. I'm gonna make up a really nice, mix up I should say, a really nice orange color. But this has got a yellow ochre for the yellow instead of, you know, a cad yellow, for instance. And it gives you a different orange. And I like that. I'm just going to place on touches of color. at this point, these are kind of the last impressionistic touches. That's almost too much, but that's okay. I'd rather have too much and then just tone it back later. It's probably the last impressionistic touches, and then we're going to transition into detail and tighter brush strokes and that sort of good stuff. So enjoy the last few minutes of being loose and free, because we're going to tighten it up and really make something happen here, I think. It's gonna be nice. I can already tell it's gonna be nice. Ah, yes. There. Maybe these are flowers or just plants that have a little color on them. It doesn't really matter, you know. It really doesn't. It's whatever you want it to be, whatever your viewers think it is. It's all good stuff. It's all pretty and it all works. And see how it's acrylic. You can easily pop these colors back in the background if you want to. That is probably about all we need. Maybe a little more warmth here just in the color of this bark. Not too much, just some. This is where you kind of stand back, you dial in your painting, get it looking the way that you want it to look. This is the time for that. And it's actually probably time to grab, there's a rock, to grab a smaller brush, probably the microfilbert brush, and start doing some smaller details. I like that brush though. I like this brush too. But I like the microfilbert. It does do details well. There, look at that. See that? Just toss in a little. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to get across the idea of, you know, a little light in this area. Ooh, not too much. Not too much. Don't get carried away. Sometimes I get carried away. Good. Carve out a little rock right there, perhaps. See that? Just with a stroke or two, you've made a new rock. Wow, that was easy. Just a stroke is all it takes to change the painting significantly. And as far, I kind of wish this tree went back a little, you know, kind of like a little more shape there at the bottom. So we're going to change it. Whoever said acrylics were not forgiving? Everybody, right? Well, it's true sometimes, but it's not always true. I think they're pretty forgiving. I like them. There, see that? It comes right off. That's pretty. See, just made that quick change. No big deal. A little color there on the back. Because even in your darks, you don't want them to just be blank. You want them to be dark, but not blank. Oh, yeah. Every stroke is adding something. All right. See, I'm just using my little microfilbert to add some of the first details here. Just tightening up the tree area. It's getting a little, it's a little loose. That's good. It's great to put that in loose, but now we are sort of making it look better. There. Yes. We can work with that. But, oh, it saves me from having to do 3,000 comma strokes. Didn't want to do that. There. That's pretty. I'm only putting them where it counts, where you're going to see it, as much as possible, of course. Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. You know, I'm kind of looking around, seeing anywhere that really needs it. I think right over here really needs it. There, just to help kind of sell the effect of these beautiful trees silhouetting against the background. Nice. Just enough. Basically, I am just looking at these areas and kind of looking for clumps, you know? Clumps in the leaves where it's solid or doesn't look quite right. And those are the areas I try to improve on. Otherwise, I'm not really trying to make them bigger or anything else. Just trying to improve on those areas that need a little improvement. Few details right here on the foreground bushes, I guess. Would you call that a bush? I guess so, yeah, probably. Good. Adding details. This is where this painting is going to come to life. It really is going to be the difference. There. I think we're on the right track at least. It's a good place to be. Unlike with oil, with acrylic, you can actually get in here with your liner brush at any time that you like with no worrying about worrying about the background just becoming mud or anything else you touch becoming mud because you've thinned the paint. This way I can add in these branches right now and then build up the other details around it and make a choice about how detailed I need to go. I just like that flexibility because we have it today. We're going to use it. You don't have to. It's completely up to you. Use the liner brush at the very end if that's what you'd rather do. Just throwing it out there. It's an option if you want to do it right now. I'd like to do it right now. Yes, this is fun. Fun, fun, fun. Like that. It's hard to say whether or not I really need a highlight. I don't even have my palette in my hand. Whether or not I really need a highlight. So I'm gonna try kind of a dark highlight. I don't want to ruin my contrast, but I don't want it to look like we forgot. You know, I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's creatively kind of a hard choice. I'm gonna grab my palette because for those reasons that I just listed. I mean, I don't know. So here you are, watching me wing it and figure out what I want to do. In my original design, when I was kind of figuring out what I want to paint, I was thinking on these trees, I was planning for them to be dark. I was thinking no highlight at all. But now I think maybe just a mid-tone like this. Is that enough? Do you even see it? Can you guys see it through the camera? I don't know. I don't know if it's really worth it, but I'm going to do it anyways. It makes me feel better. Definitely. Let me know what you think about this. I'm interested to see. Do you think it needs this, or is this just a waste of time adding these little touches of green? I don't know that they really changed the painting much. Just enough to show that we didn't, literally that's the point, that we didn't forget. We've completed the painting. Alright, well I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching.